Well, you've finally decided to step up your modding game and add custom animations to the game, so your disk or your NPC start doing fancier things rather than the default stuff. Well, here I'll show you how to go from using the template to full-on adding the animation you want in the game. So get tight, as this tutorial is the simplest I could do it. All of this info I got it from the source wiki and my own experience adding my own animations. What you're going to need to start animating is the Blender template and Blender. Make sure the Blender version is for 0.5 or the script to make the animation won't work. If you have it in Steam and don't know how to change the version, right-click Blender in your library. Select Properties, go into Betas and find for 0.5. To get the mere Blender template, go into the source wiki, find the Creating a Character Animation section and click this link. Now open Blender and open the file you just downloaded. I'd recommend cleaning up the file before starting to animate, or using my empty Blender template I left in the description. Now you can finally start animating. I'll explain to you a bit of how this works. The animation by default runs on 24 FPS. If you're more used to doing it on another frame rate, look at the right section of Blender, find the output category, and set the frame rate to whatever you want to work with. In the bottom, you have the timeline, which if you're familiar with Flash, you won't be too familiar with this one. The timeline in Blender works with 3 controls per piece, instead of 1 keyframe per object. The red line is for X position, the green line is for Y position, the blue line is for rotation. If you see more lines than the ones who control these 3, don't use them and ignore them. These lines control 3D things. Blender has a sort of permanent interpolation between frames, which means if you set frame 10 to move up, Blender will move that object to that position from frame 1 to frame 10. Also, small detail, always try to keep the body a bit over the blue line, as this blue line is essentially the floor in-game. Here's a few controls you're gonna need when animating. Press I to make a new frame in the timeline. I'd recommend selecting all channels. Hold Shift and the mouse wheel to move around. Scroll up and down to zoom in and out. If you move off of the camera you were set from, press 0 on your keypad to go back to the original position. With all this, you can start animating. Normally my animation process uses an animate file to animate what I want first, and then apply it to Blender. Once you're finished with the animation, go to the top left of Blender. Press Window and toggle System Console. This is where you'll get what you need for your animation. We'll pass to the animation file formatting. FPS is to set the FPS of your animation. Not much science behind this one. I'd recommend not touching scale, as even the source wiki tells you to leaving it at 1. Speed will change the speed of your animation. It will also have the same automatic interpolation, so if you set it slower, it will automatically do it slower. Now we're going to convert your Blender animation into something Mir can read. For this, select a body piece and look at the tab on the right with the code, then press the Run Script button on the top. What this will do is generate a series of lines inside the system console that you have to put in your .anim file in order. This order being body, head, hand first and hand second like this. Notice that the hands don't include the first and second part. Those are to indicate in what order the hands go in the file. A recommendation of mine is to make a copy of your original file, and if you use the automatic interpolation, make it so each piece inside the copy has a separate frame. Be careful though, if you have any sort of text selected in the system console, Blender will crash. So now just repeat the process you did with the body with the other parts. Select, Run Script, Copy, and Paste. Once your Ani file is completed, go into Data Animations and put it wherever your animation needs to go. If none of the folders apply, you can put it in cutscenes. Now all you have to do is build your mod. Go in the level editor, generate an animation trigger, and check if your animation is in there. Congratulations, your animation is now inside the game. Now that we know it works, let's go into the fancier stuff. You might have noticed there is no way to change the hand poses. This is because you have to do this manually in your Ani file. Let's say that in your animation, the character opens their hand in frame 10 and closes it in frame 20. What you're going to do is find the hand you want to do that, the frame where you want it to do that, and at the end of line 10, add open. Then add close at the end of frame 20. That way, your hand will open and close where you want them. The hand poses you can do in here are fist, open, pistol, point, rifle, stock, and underside. Your animation is complete. However, in the technical side, things change a bit. Any character can still do whatever they want while the animation plays. To prevent this, there are animation constraints, so if the character can't die until their animation ends, you go in frame 0 of body, add constraint, a parentheses, and inside the parentheses you add prevent dying. If you also want your character to not move, you add a space and then type in prevent walking. Here is all the animation constraints you can add. Pause if you need. If your animations are attacking animations, you'll have to do a SEQ file. These files are composed like this, the animation ID. This is why it's important to put your animation in the correct file, the frame in which they hit. The frame in which they transition to the next animation. Let me explain this. Let's say your animation is called grunter_hitter, and it registers the hit on frame 19, and the animation ends in frame 30. This means you type in grunter_hitter, tab, 19, tab, 21. There's a cheat in the SEQ files, as after registering the hit, the game will detect how many frames after the hit to end it. So instead of typing in 30, we type in 21. If you have more animations, then just press enter and repeat the same steps. If your melee animations have different animations for each side, considering the hand with the weapon actually swaps with the side you're looking at, then you add brackets, the right animation, and then the left animation. That is all you need to know about animating. Implementing the animations requires more coding, but I cannot help with that. Thank you for watching and have fun animating.